Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another movie review, sort of sticking with my horror movie reviews for the month of October especially, and again, I've just been trying to do more horror movie reviews in general because I'm a huge horror fan, and I wanted to make it more of a strong presence on this channel for a while. I'm glad to finally be doing that with a lot of my movie reviews lately. My girlfriend and I actually made a list together of different, more horror-themed movies that we're going to watch together, and as we go, I'll probably review those. So The Mist, the 2007 film adaptation of Stephen King's book. I remember watching this movie, a good few years ago with my dad. I think my brother may have seen it as well. Like I said, it is based off Stephen King's book. It's directed by Frank Darabont, known for Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption. Also, had a massive hand in the first season of The Walking Dead, and as well as the second season before he kind of got screwed over. But we don't need to go into that right now. There's a lot of talent on board in this movie. It stars Thomas Jane as David. He's a father, and mysterious mist, fog kind of thing comes in one day, and he and his son, as well as a neighbor, go on a run to a market, and then before they know it, they're stranded in there, and there's this mysterious mist out there with unknown threats, and it revolves around the group of people trapped in there. Put it simply, basically. And forgive me if I butcher or slur my words. It's almost 1:30 in the morning, so. But when I watched this movie a few years ago, I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty good. But I think for some reason I just felt like it lacked something for me, and that's before I really matured. I feel like as a viewer of film. I'm not saying I have the greatest epitome of taste or anything nowadays, but I just think I can see things a little bit clearer now when it comes to movies and shows. And at this point, let me just say I really like, if not love, this movie. I think it is very good. There's hardly anything wrong with it. And we're going to talk as in-depth about it as I can right now. It stars Thomas Jane, who's one of my absolute favorite actors working today. I've loved him since The Punisher, and since I've seen him in The Punisher, over a decade ago now. I've checked out many of his movies. I've done quite a few reviews of his other films on my channel. I just think the guy has such a range as an actor, from a role like The Punisher to a more normal, average guy like David here, to a movie like Standoff with Lawrence Fishburne, to I Melt With You, to The Expanse, to the 1922 Netflix Stephen King film he's doing that's coming up here in October. He's just really broad as far as his acting ability goes. I think he can play a serious, badass, strong, silent type. He can play the more erratic, partier, like an I Melt With You, and everything in between, it seems. Even in that baseball film, 61. So I think he is very, very good here, and he leads a really studded cast, which also features many of the initial Walking Dead cast as well, including Laurie Holden, who played Andrea, as well as Jeffrey DeMunn, who played Dale. Both very talented actors, excuse me. And it's just great to see them all grouped together like this. And we also have Melissa McBride in the movie, who plays a huge fan favorite nowadays, Carol. Toby Jones I also found to be extremely likable in the movie. He's been in tons of films, of course. Before we get into more details about the movie, I do like the opening scene as well. We see that David is a painter, and of course he works on a lot of different film posters and stuff like that, for different movies, and of course ironically they're all Stephen King films, or at least books and everything like that. You can see The Thing there, you can see Dark Tower, various others. It's just one of those little things in it that I like. Um, now of course, the main premise of it is what's out there. What's this mysterious threat. But the real point and driving force of this movie is definitely the humans. The human characters, and just the mass hysteria and different sort of ideologies and just types of people that are stuck in this grocery store together. And that's probably one of the best things about the entire film, is just how it captures that, the panic of it all, the conflicting interests, the, like I said, different ideologies and beliefs. I think that's all done very, very well. It ranges from average, sort of middle road people like David, who are a bit more, fair and, sort of rational. Just sort of religious nuts, like you see there, who just like to take their very old beliefs and sort of run with it to any extremes they can that fit their sort of Roman psychotic freaks right now, honestly. So I like how that's explored a little bit, although I do think that the character pictured here is a bit over the top at times. As my girlfriend informed me, there can be people that she believes that pushed in this type of situation would react like this. So that's a little bit scary to think about. But either way, it proves for some fairly intense confrontations for sure. And like I said, the whole cast is great. There's not really a weak link at all. We also have Sam Witwer in here, who is another personal favorite actor of mine on the right there. Loved him Being Human, arguably my all-time favorite show. Of course, this is a few years before that, and he later appeared on The Walking Dead as well. The walker in the tank with Rick in the very first episode. He's one of the military boys that comes in and is trapped in the grocery store as well, and he may or may not hold some answers as to what may have caused these creatures to overrun the town and everything, or the Smiths to come in. And it's really interesting because we see one of his other officers say that is their fault and things like that. And we later find out from him, before he is sacrificed, that they had apparently been fiddling with portals from other realities or other worlds or something along those lines, and of course these creatures escaped from that and they came into ours, which really reminds me of Stranger Things recently. And wouldn't it be just awesome if they had Thomas Jane come in as David on Stranger Things, to someone who's experienced that after this massive cover-up or something? I don't know. It's just an idea there. But like I said, I do really like Sam Witwer in the movie as well. It's not like an Aiden Being Human type of role for him, but I still thought he gave a fairly emotive type of performance. And he does still have a kind of a big part in the movie because he's arguably the most extreme death in the whole film, with this religious group sort of sacrificing him because they believe that's needed. So the panic with all that was fairly well done, I thought. I do definitely feel bad for him because I was really attached to his character on Being Human. But of course, different roles, so you kind of gotta separate that. Like I said, I like Toby Jones as well. He was one of the more sensible people in the movie. He's also pretty good with the gun. I could just go on about all these characters all day, honestly. So although the human characters are the driving force, we do have to talk about the creatures and the monsters in the movie. And that honestly is one of the little things that might hold it back, from it being a perfect film for me. Maybe there is no perfect movie, but the little thing that might hold it back from being an all-time favorite of mine or something along those lines is that kind of the creature design choices, I guess. The CGE on them isn't bad, except for that sort of opening scene when we see the tentacles and stuff. The CGI I feel is kind of off there. But just the creature designs in general, I feel they weren't really that scary or intimidating. I mean, we see bugs like that, tentacles like that, and then these larger spider type of creatures, and for some reason that just didn't really work for me, honestly. I like the whole vibe and atmosphere of it more than when they actually showed up on screen. They're all also like these bird, mutated creature type of things. And for some reason I just didn't find them very intimidating or scary when they actually showed up. Again, it's more like the vibe surrounding it, what could come. Although I will admit, the behemoth we see at the end of the movie and the shot of that, I think, is very, very well done. It is fairly daunting. But the rest of it, I would have preferred some other creature design choices. I think that were a little bit more intense. Instead of like bugs mostly. But luckily I does think it bogged the whole movie down too far anyway. But other than that, I tried, but I couldn't really think of really many other weaknesses with the movie. Like I said, Thomas Jane is very good, and I love the dialogue in a certain scene when they're in the back. They sort of talk back and forth about they go into religion a little bit, and they try and decide what to do against the woman sort of getting carried away with it all, and they sort of go back and forth about humanity and things like that. I thought that was one of the more well-acted scenes in the movie, as well as when David's son asks him not to let the monsters get him and things like that. Those do resonate with me, especially as a fan of Thomas Jane and everything. I thought he did very well. Now, of course, another big part of the film is the ending, which was changed from Stephen King's book. And apparently Stephen King has also gone on record on saying that he almost prefers the film's ending because he apparently wishes he had thought of it, because it is bleaker, it is definitely darker than the way the book goes. And spoilers, I hope you have seen The Mist by this point. David, Jeffrey DeMunn, Laurie Holden, and this older woman. Let's see, the older one pictured right there, who's actually pretty fun to watch in the movie. She has like this fire idea that actually comes in handy, and she stands up to the religious knot. She was a pretty fun character, by the way. But yeah, back to that ending. He drives off with them and his son, and there only turns out to be 4 bullets, where there's 5 of them, and they feel like something's approaching them again. They're out of gas, they think they're being surrounded. So David does like one of the hardest thing, probably the hardest thing you could ever do. He puts down these people who he's made a connection with, as well as a possible future with Laurie Holden's character. I think that was implied. Also, especially after seeing his wife dead, finding her dead at the house. He then also has to put down his son just to save him from what they thought was going to be a very terrible and brutal fate. But then, like seconds later, the military shows up, and it turns out if he had just held off on that a little bit longer, they all would have been saved. And he just screams out and just devastated, and he tears himself to shreds over it, just mentally. You can see his break. Even before the rescue shows up, you can just see his trauma over it, which of course anyone would have. And I remember initially when I first watched the ending a few years ago, as much as I like Thomas Jane, at first I thought his reaction to it was like a bit overacted or a bit overdone. But over the years, I've just recognized and understood emotion a lot more, and he doesn't sound cool like the Punisher or anything, or badass when he reacts at the end. But I think that it was really a real feeling, a real reaction. Just to see his complete his mental break, and just the way he sort of yells out. Yeah, it doesn't sound awesome or anything, but it sounds real and raw, and I just really like that, and I really love his performance. I definitely felt for him, not just because I like the actor, but because I felt for the character at that point too. And I do think it is a better ending than what was in the books. It just fits with the tone of the story more, I think. At the end, we also see Melissa McBride's character. Also, it turns out that she found her kids and everything. Although originally, apparently, they were going to have her be found dead as well. So I really think The Mist is a great film. I also felt bad for the babysitter that David had known, that ends up getting bitten. Sam Witwer's sort of love interest in the movie, and she just gets all swollen and just dies. she was one of the characters I thought would have made it to the end, at least in the car with him or something. But yeah, I have my little gripes, with the creatures and everything, so when you see them on screen, it's a little bit underwhelming for me anyway. But I just think the rest of the movie is just near perfect, from the hysteria to the dialogue back and forth, all the acting, I think, is just really on point. This and the new It film, I think, are definitely the best adaptations, live action wise, of Stephen King's work to date. Both very good. So yeah, I really love The Mist, and if I had to rate it, I was debating when I made that picture between A- and an A. I think I'm going to stick to around that range. Like I said, if I did feel more when monsters appeared on screen, I probably would have put it just an A+ all out. But just that, and just that. I can't really find much else wrong with it, but it is a very good movie. It held up even better when I watched it again, like I said, because I just have a better understanding of things nowadays. I just enjoyed it a lot. My girlfriend seemed to get into it, even though she was spoiled on the ending. It still seemed to affect her quite a bit, so that was good. So yeah, The Mist, a great movie. I have the DVD copy right here. After rewatching it now, I realize I have to get the damn thing on Blu-ray. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think about The Mist, as well as the book, how you feel it goes against the book. So follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe, I'll catch you guys next time. I could honestly keep talking about The Mist, but, it's after 1:30 in the morning now, so I should probably try to get some form of sleep, perhaps. But yeah, The Mist, really, really awesome movie. So catch you guys next time. Peace.